But if you are trying to elevate your work, if you're trying to shoot a certain standard of images,
correct,
you need a certain standard of clientele. And sometimes you got to, in increments, increase the price so that when
you'll see them change too. It's crazy.
Yeah, because nobody want to post work on social media with Chuck E. Cheese in the background. I love Chuck E. Cheese, but ain't nobody trying to see a wedding photo with that mouse. We want another mouse. We don't want that mouse on our images. And so you got to pick and choose how you're elevating your work and how you elevating your cause.
Every single day I feel the pressure. Double up the work, let's make it extra. Working so my mother get a rest,
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the Canvas Kings. Today we're back with Woody, and hey, he's a husband, he's a father, he's a church tech specialist, he's a wedding photographer, and he holds so many positions in media. And I'm so glad to have you here, bro. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So just tell the people, how did we meet? I know we met through Siobhan, but how do you know Siobhan?
Oh, man. Me and Siobhan, Siobhan is AMA marketing. She's out in Atlanta, AMA events and marketing, and she's out in Atlanta. But man, me and Siobhan go back to freshman year of college at University of South Florida.
See, I didn't even know she went there.
Yeah, she went to University of South Florida freshman year, man. Dang. Go back a while.
Dang, so you know her. Yeah, you know her in a minute.
Yeah, I've known her. What's that? I'm not gonna put that out there. I end up slightly putting out her age, and then she be like, "What you doing?" Man. Yeah. So we go back to then, and I moved out of state in 2011, and then moved back in 2015. And when I came back to 2015, I was just trying to get connected with photographers in the area, especially because I moved from Tampa to North Carolina and then moved to Orlando, and it just felt like I moved to a whole new space altogether. So it was just like, yo, reaching out to the people I knew.
Correct.
It was like, hey, Shiv, who do you know?
And what's crazy is I had just started getting momentum in Florida because I had just moved here like 2 years ago, and I really didn't know anybody.
Right.
So she was like, she had mentioned you a couple times, which was crazy. And then I feel like you reached out or something like that.
I had a wedding coming up,
and I was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, she actually mentioned you. I think that was like the first thing I said. I said, yeah, I know you already because she sent me your profile. I followed you. And I had already kind of been watching and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to reach out.
She'll connect.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy. If y'all didn't watch the last podcast, we talked a lot about collaboration and with Octavius, and it's just another testament to that. Like, collaboration starts in people that aren't even in your industry.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They're just closely related. But people in events are extremely important when you do photography and video.
And you almost got to network before you need the person, because if you wait till you need somebody, then
right,
and you're gonna end up with bad help and bad services and bad everything. So it's technically more important so the fact that we already knew her and the position that she has as an event planner and all of that was really helpful, because she just came through in the clutch.
It did. And then shoot, we know a lot of people similar, man.
Oh, man.
Because shoot, how do we?
Well, the industry is small. It's big, but like once you get into, I guess, once you work in a niche, you just start meeting some of the same people. And it's like you may not work with somebody, but somebody you've worked with them. And so you've heard of them or you've seen their work and things like that.
Did you recommend me to Ed, or did
I recommended you to Ed?
That's what it was. I'm like, how'd I meet Ed too?
I recommended you to Ed because
Ed's another guy here in Orlando. Really good wedding photographer as well. But yeah, that's what's crazy.
The amount of people we've ran into and we've worked with.
Man, it's all correlated. It's just a big melting pot.
Definitely.
But shoot, man, why photography, and like what got you into photography? Did you get in during school? Was it later? Like, how did you even get it to like picking up a camera? Not even weddings, just picking up the camera.
Man, I've always loved photography, and I almost put that on my grandfather. My grandfather was somebody who just had albums upon albums of photos of family members.
That's cool.
And he's just, and being that, I'm first generation American. My parents are from Haiti. It was like you don't understand all of that, or you don't know all these faces. And so seeing all these faces and pictures of people in a different country, it's like, wow. And so I just appreciated being able to see all those pictures, and it just manifested that I love seeing the stuff like that, and to the point where it took on to me. I remember when I went to, my mom got mad when I went to my 8th grade field trip. We actually went to Disney, and I'm from South Florida, but we went to Disney, and it's gonna really age me. My mom gave me a disposable camera. She actually gave me 2 disposable cameras.
Yep.
And we went to Disney, and when I came back, she went and got the pictures developed. Went to, I don't know, probably was called Eckerd's at the time. Went and got the photos developed, and she was pissed. She like, how I go and pay for pictures to get developed, and there's only 2 pictures of you, and there's all these pictures of everybody else.
Everybody else. And
it's just like, nobody. For me, it was capturing other people's emotions and capturing their joy, and I loved it. I've always loved capturing their joy. Fast forward a few years later, one of my first jobs was, I was actually a photographer at Sears Portrait Center. Yes.
Dang.
I was your Sears.
I know we had that in common. I didn't work at Sears, but I worked at Portrait Innovations.
See?
Yeah, so it's like the same family.
The point and shoot button.
Yep. And in the summer, that's when that would work.
Point and shoot. And so I did that for a number of years while also taking photography classes in high school. But photography is expensive.
Correct.
And nobody was going to buy me one of those cameras.
Nope.
And so after high school, it took a, I mean, I was also in the yearbook because of all of that.
I was doing a little bit.
I was doing all of that, putting pictures together. I took yearbooks so I could use the camera.
Yeah, that was nice.
That. But it took
a break. You was on film then?
Yeah.
Yeah. That had to be film.
Yeah, that was film.
I ain't trying to age you again.
It's all right. It's all right.
Because ours was film, so like it had to be.
I took some years off while I was in undergrad, and but while I was in undergrad, although I wasn't the one shooting, a really good friend of mine, actually one of our frat brothers, Jamar, he really put me on, and he was younger than me, but he was teaching me, and that's something that you always got to understand, is that when you're in a niche or when you get in a career, does age, especially something like this,
age don't matter. None of that really matters.
It's people got an eye, people got skills, people got techniques, and you learn from whoever you can learn from it. So Jamar was just like, look, let's just come with me on some shoots, and he was putting me on game and things like that. I graduated, got my first full-time job, and one of the first cameras I bought, actually it was the first camera I bought, was a Canon 50D.
Shoot,
and a 50 millimeter lens.
Dang, man.
I had the nifty 50 and the Canon, and I had
that's the lens to get too.
Oh yeah,
you
starting out, and I had that camera for, I want to say 2 years. I shot the Homecoming Queen, the Miss USF Queen, every Miss Black and Gold event I could get my hands on. I put that one camera and lens to use.
Man, shoot, the fraternity, you get a camera, you shooting everything.
And the thing is, it wasn't like I wanted to shoot. They gonna put you to work.
They put you to work.
Ain't nobody. You gonna do it.
You gonna do it.
I'm trying to buy another lens.
Correct.
But no, from there, man, the passion just grew, and I just fell in love with it.
Man, that's great, bro. Because what's crazy is I started on the 40D, you started on the 50D. Man, we're just finding extra commonalities out of nowhere.
Man.
But, man, that's great. So what brought you, into weddings? Did you, second shoot with somebody to get started? Or you just kind of...
I shot one of my... So I ended up... I worked in education for a little bit, and one of my students, or former students, was getting married, and she actually asked me to shoot her wedding, and that was the first wedding that I did, and I didn't know what I was doing. And so one key thing I'd say that was smart of me is I went and got the best photographer I knew.
Yeah, they come shoot.
Who, looking back, wasn't probably the best, but it was the
best.
He
was pretty good. Yeah,
I knew. And I asked him to second shoot for me, and I took the hit. I paid him more than I made.
Correct.
But it was my first time, and I got somebody who would second shoot and make sure that I didn't butcher this woman's wedding images, because that is the thing about weddings. That's the thing probably most people fear.
Correct.
Is the stress and the fear of messing up someone's wedding.
Right. You get one moment, one opportunity, and you can't really mess it up. You can't the entire time.
And there's probably more fear than there is actuality of fear. But, I shot that as my first wedding, and it went really good. and we're still in contact. So I don't think she hated her picture.
Right.
We still talk every now and again. And so from there, I ebbed and flowed out of weddings here. Second shot for quite a few people. Moved out of state. Second shot for people there, and eventually just got comfortable. Once you get a certain amount of second shooting images,
right,
and you're posting those because social media became a really big thing.
People start reaching out.
Shot a couple of firsts, and from there, I think right around really honest, it was 2013, 2014, as I reconnected with my college sweetheart, now wife. And we talked about, photography and things like that. And as we got closer to our wedding, I grew more of an affinity for weddings.
For weddings even more.
And I was like, wow, I really enjoy this. I really love this. I don't know that this is a sane person's thought, but I love the chaos of it at the same time.
Right.
And so as we grew in our marriage, I started pushing more towards wedding photography, and I moved down here, and my ultimate goal when I moved down here was to connect with as many people in the wedding industry, which is where Siobhan kicked in with you. And then I met Ed, and he's a real estate agent here in the area, but Edward and Wendell, DW, and those guys just really just like, we almost formed a little group where we knew we were just shooting each other from, and that group grew over times with like Raji and Tristan and people like that, where you just, you grow your network. And so, that's been my journey.
For people like getting started, I know you mentioned social media early on. Like, how were you getting clients to notice you in those earlier stages when you started kind of shooting a nice volume of second shooter work? How did you get those people to kind of see you?
I think it started with, at first, ask permission. Ask permission from the lead photographer. Don't just go and post second shooting, because the client did not hire me.
Correct.
So I didn't want to post their pictures without. So I always asked them, hey, can I post 2 on social media, 3 on my website?
Yeah.
Can I use 5 of all the images that we shot? Can I put 3 on my website, 2 on social media? And once they said yes, it was posting, taking down. At the time, the algorithm didn't get mad at you for taking photos down. I would take the photos down, repost them, try to get as many likes down, tag as many people. And as I did that, more people would see the images and they would ask. And being wise with what creative shoots I didn't shoot any and everybody who wanted to shoot with me, but I did shoot for free.
Right.
If you had a cool idea or I had a cool idea and you wanted to collaborate, we put that together.
You got to do a couple of those.
Yeah, you got to do some of those. And so I just put that work out there continuously, but also one of the biggest things is word of mouth.
Right.
It's everybody knows somebody, for some reason their friend groups get married in clumps.
Yeah, and that's similar to what happened in my wedding journey. As soon as I graduated, I was one of the first to get married. But right after me, literally, it was like brother after brother after brother. Then it was like a brother from Auburn got married. Then it was like another one from another school in Alabama got married. And then it became other Greeks as well. So it became like the Deltas that knew of me, some of the AKAs that knew of me. So no, you're right. Your network, is very powerful in weddings. And in the beginning, it might seem like people aren't messing with you, but they gotta get a feel for you. You gotta post a little bit. You gotta get that actively, actively look of, okay, I can actually trust him. He's shooting a couple weddings, and the second shooting helps. I mean, we didn't have stories back then to even actively show we were at a wedding. At least if you're getting started now, you can do stories, even if you're at a second shooters. Even if you're second shooting, you're allowed to do stories.
You're at a what?
He's not gonna care. But most people ain't gonna care.
Most people
ain't gonna care. But
there's always that one.
Yeah, there's always that exception for somebody. But
no, I definitely think that the networking really helped, and social media helped, the word of mouth helped. But putting out quality work.
Correct.
I am not the best at posting. We joke about that.
Yeah.
I am not the best.
You go on a mayhem of posting out of nowhere.
Right. Every 3 to 6 months, I'm gonna drop 15 photos, and it'll be really nice. See you in 3 months.
Yep.
And so I'm not the best at it, but putting out quality work
Yeah,
it's really important. Taking your time, learning, asking questions, doing the necessary work. Try not to let the enemy of comparison get to you. Because, bro, social media eats you up alive comparing your work to other people's work.
Well, me and you, I know we pretty much have grown up in the wedding industry where the boom of like the Black Brides and Mona Lucci's were like, they were holding so much power because brides were like, you need to do good enough to where I get into Mona Lucci or bridal, blackbrides.com. And it was like, it was pressure. And you almost felt like, dang, I got to make sure I get these kind of looks like these photographers get. And I mean, it helps, but at the same time, it was wearing on you. So I mean, definitely for sure, make sure you don't compare yourself. Like,
Mona Lucci reached out when they were first starting their first coutier group. And
they reached out.
And I was like,
I said, no, I didn't want to.
And then all of a sudden it became, we're not booking you unless we can go viral.
Correct.
And it's like,
there was a stint of that.
Trying to create a lifetime memory, and you want to go viral for 10 minutes. Like, so you gotta breathe that out, and recognize like it is a good thing. I mean, it's nice to see your work go viral, and not get jealous off the person who works go viral, but understand that like the person out there who cares about quality work will find you.
They'll find you. No, they definitely will.
And that's no slack to anybody who's gone viral or not gone viral. It's like you keep putting yourself out there, you keep doing good work. Keep doing your homework.
Nah, man, it's a thief to your happiness every single time. So, like, what I want to talk about today a little bit is, like, we both are pretty much part-time in the wedding side of things. We got other things we're doing for day job money and action, but we still love photography. What would be some things or some pointers you would give somebody that's trying to pursue wedding photography, wedding media on a part-time basis to make sure that they're actually being in control of their whole process? Like, what does your process look like when you get home from a wedding so you don't get behind on a day?
I mean, the first thing is you got to understand that, like, I don't even know that us in the wedding industry have a part-time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, because it's like on weekends, it's like all the time.
But see, our time goes differently because you shoot a wedding. I shoot a wedding on a Saturday.
Yep.
I shoot a wedding all day Saturday. Put between the 6 to 10, maybe even 12 hours worth of work into that one Saturday.
Correct.
I leave, and Sunday morning.
Take work home.
Sunday morning. That night. I go immediately to my computer and put it into the the hard drive. I need to back up my work just in case it lose, because you don't lose people wedding photos. So I got to back everything up that night. I wake up early the next morning. I head off to church, do all my techie stuff there. I'm still exhausted from the day before. I get home that night and I'm scrummaging through the images to find 5 to 10 quality photos, because everybody want to highlight, and you gotta beat everybody because everybody got a cell phone now, and you want quality work to show before. So you got to push out those 5 to 10 photos that you need. That's then. So you try to take a rest because Saturday was harsh on you. I go to work all day Monday. Get home from work. I have a 1-year-old. I need to spend time with my 1-year-old. She goes to, from about 6 o'clock when I get home to about 8:30. It's me and my daughter. We're watching Binky. We're watching Miss Rachel. We hanging out. We having a good time. We laughing. I'm bathing, brushing teeth, putting to bed. Right. From 8:30 till about 10:30, I need to make sure I'm pouring into my wife. Or you're gonna have a great business, but nobody to go on vacation with. So from 8:30 to 10:30, I'm kicking it with the wife. We watching whatever it is, CSI, Criminal Minds. She love all these shows like Snapped, and I don't know, it scares the crap out of me. But we watch TV. But from 10:30 till about 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm calling through photos. I'm looking through images. I'm separating them out. I'm putting it up, putting all together. Then I wind down, and about 1:30, 2 o'clock, go to sleep just to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and do it all over again. I'm putting in the 40 hours a week. Just like the full-time professional. It's just my hours look different.
They just look different. Correct.
And so what I would say is you got to make sure, to the young professional, is figure out what your priorities are and don't let go of those.
Right.
Like you got to do what you need to do to make the business successful without losing sight of what your priorities are, because then you'll have a great business without the things that bring you value and joy. And at the end of the day, the whole reason I'm hustling like this is for my family. So I need to make sure that I do that. So I do that. I call the photos. I ask my clients, which is considered long in the industry, I ask them between 60 to 90 days.
Yeah. But then you can always overpromise. I mean, not overpromise.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm overpromising.
So you can
I can meet an
even better.
When you get it to them in a month and a half, they're like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah. I wasn't expecting them. Yeah.
This is what I do. I like to deliver for
right.
people. And so I spend the next week or so. It does take me about a week because I'm limiting myself and I'm tired and I want to make sure I do a good job. I'm limited, so I take probably the first week to cull through the images, the second week to really start the first and second round of editing. Right. Third, the last round is really the grade to make sure everything has a similar look, and then and then so typically it takes me about a month-ish.
And not to mention, once you export it and you look at them on Pixieset or wherever, there's always like 20 or 30 photos.
I got to do it over.
Correct. You're like, man, you writing down all the image numbers. Dang, I don't like that and that. Dang, she's a little overexposed here.
And you gotta take it back.
So let me redo these 30, re-export them, put them back in. So
you already know.
We might be done a week or two earlier than we thought, but we might got to go back to it and extend it again.
And that's when things are copacetic, because typically for some reason it'll be real quiet. And then once one client book, you get like 20 other ones. And so now it's really, and that's why you asked for 3 months, is because while it would have taken me about a month to knock out one client, I have 3 clients that I'm juggling at the same time to make sure I get that work out. So I ask for that extra time. I normally get it to them earlier, but
that makes sense.
That's really my process, to manage the house, manage the family. What you lose when you're a workapreneur, and that's what I'm a workapreneur because I work full time, but I'm trying to be an entrepreneur, is you lose that free time. And so that's also knowing when to take breaks.
Correct.
Next week, I'm out 4 days. Don't text me, don't call me, don't email me, don't Facebook, don't nothing. If you still got a MySpace page, shut it down. Don't reach out to me because I'm going on vacay. And I take that time to reprieve and take time with the family and do all of that.
Man, you ain't lying.
It's a hustle.
Man, a lot of the younger kids these days, they sometimes lack a lot of the systems. So are there any systems that you've kind of like put in place? Like, what's it look like when somebody comes in? Or not even the young kids, just everybody in general. But what does it look like when somebody comes into the funnel or into the lead system, you would call it? Is there any particular tools you're using right now? Are there any particular softwares that help you manage them?
There's a lot of softwares that's coming out. That Pixieset is really growing their CRM and giving you a way to connect with clients and things of that sort. One thing for sure that I tell everybody is start from the ground. Like, even if you don't have one of those systems where you make enough money to pay for a HoneyBook or something that. Like, that's what I got, a HoneyBook. Yeah. But even if you don't have a system where you use a HoneyBook or something like that, have a system in mind.
Right.
I will answer your emails within 48 hours.
Right. See, because
like creating that feel that you are a professional at the end of the day. So
you got to.
While I have a HoneyBook and I have my Pixieset and I have it all set up, because I'm a workapreneur, I don't necessarily use it to its fullest extent because, for example, the calendar. I can't put the calendar up because I never know what my work calendar is going to throw at my personal calendar.
Correct.
Where most people got
do it like that.
Most people got a personal and a work calendar. I have. I teach at the University of Central Florida. I work at a Fortune 100 company. I do photography and I got a family.
Yep.
That's 4 different calendars that I'm managing at the same time. And so for me, I can't give you the option to be like, I'm going to pick. I need you to talk to me.
Correct.
And I'm one of those, I'm going to reach back out to you. I'm going to try to be on point with my reaching back out to you.
Won't be no difference.
But I use that system on the back end or I'm not going to be organized.
Correct.
I'm going to fall apart and I'm going to be stressed. So I got to have a system in place, even if my client doesn't touch it.
Yeah. So that's always one thing I always recommend to everybody is most businesses don't really grow because they don't have some form of a system. They get leads in. They don't know who closed. They don't know where they came from. Like, I utilize one called Sprout Studio, and Sprout Studio is pretty cool because you're able to get the image proofing in there. You can do embedded forms on your website, so they go straight into the system.
That's nice.
You're able to do all your contracts to go in there, all of your communication, so you can see your email threads. And then there's also like email automation. So when somebody emails, it'll automatically send them the price list. And then I'll see a notification because I'll get a notification that say, hey, we just sent out an email automatically. So then I'll go look at and see who the person was. Make sure they're not junk or anything like that.
That's good.
And then it automatically labels the person too.
Maybe I need to go check out Sprout.
Yeah, Sprout's really good. Sprout's really cool. But
yeah,
it's a cool thing. But
to
your point,
set, I use the Quicken.
Pixie Set is coming a long way too. Like I looked at Pixie Set not too long ago, and I was like, man, what's all these features? The only problem was the price. I couldn't. It was only like $10 less if I moved all my systems.
And it's a lot of work to move.
Yeah, to move it from there to there because I got past data, and I can also do album proofing in there. So it does the nice flip and stuff like that. So albums are a really big thing as well in the industry. So like, oh yeah, while we're on albums, like what do your products look like as a professional photographer? Like what kind of products are your clients typically getting?
So typically what they do, I actually, which is probably bad business product. I apologize to all the photographers out there. If they're asking for any images that's 11x14 or smaller, I tell them they don't need to go through me.
Yeah, I do the same thing though. If it's 11, if it's I think I do 8x12. That's my cutoff. Because I was around 11x14. Yeah, but to your point, they can technically print those anywhere.
I tell them print those anywhere, and I tell them that the quality difference won't necessarily be seen at that time. So listen, at the same time, I'm not trying to make people feel like I'm trying to rob them. I'm not going to charge you. I'm not trying to, by any means. I mean, I'm not going to say that because other photographers going to come from my neck. But I'm not charging,
robbing people,
right? I'm not. I didn't say the word. I didn't say that word. I ain't saying you. But no. I charge I tell them 11x14. They don't have to go through me. At anything bigger than that, I let them know the quality will be seen. Somebody will be able to tell the quality. So you want to utilize my services. I use professional people, and whether so you can order prints through Pixie Set. So whether I go through Pixie Set or I reach out to some of the other professional printing services.
Correct.
Anything but to be above a 11x14, I encourage strongly that they go through me. And then, of course, wedding albums. And these aren't, these are, I do only lay flat albums.
Yep.
I love it.
Nice thick pages.
And I show them my wedding album.
Yep.
Because I will not give you something that I don't expect for myself. So during our consultation, I show you my personal wedding album and say, I will order your album from the same exact place that I got mine. Yeah. So
they're like, oh, this is
quality
nice.
Is going to.
Correct. Hey, and that's just something for all the photographers out there. Like, get quality products for like your albums. Like, don't just go on Shutterfly or whatever it's called and be printing out people these books that are lay flat. They're not lay flat, but they're more stapled in the back. Like, get the hardbound stuff, thick pages. I think it's like what 3-4 millimeters of thickness. So really nice. I got to deliver one this evening. Nice. I have it in the car. I should have brought it so people could have saw what an album
we're
looks
actually
like.
talking about.
Yeah, like so. But that album itself, I'm gonna deliver today, and they're probably gonna see it and be like, they always say the same thing. I didn't know this was the quality I was actually gonna be getting. Because they see the pictures and they see the sample, but it's always different when they see their actual photos
when they
on
see
it.
Their photos.
Right. So I love doing hand deliveries because I don't get to do them a lot. So when they're close, and he literally lives around the street from me, so I'm like, yeah.
And I encourage them to get it, especially for weddings, because again, my grandfather had those images as a kid. I sat down, crisscross
just looking
legs, just sitting there looking through the albums of these people who and you know, we're living in a digital age, and I gave you this flashy, beautiful box USB. Mm-hmm. How many of our computers still use those? How many of us use CDs?
You giving people USB?
Remember
still?
the CDs?
No, wait. You giving people USB?
Nah, they get the images through Pixie Set now.
Right.
They get the images through Pixie Set now.
But I remember a lady was trying to make me get on one too.
But I tell them print it because we don't know what medium we are going to have. We used to give people CDs in nice little
little sleeves with their face on.
What they going to do with that?
I couldn't even play one for you right now.
You can't do anything with that anymore, and it's hard. It's going to get harder and harder as technology advances. So, but what never seems to go away is print.
Correct.
So print your freight.
Yep.
Print your freight.
Yeah, at least print it, and don't just send anybody a Dropbox link.
No,
like at least Pixieset does have a free version. You're just going to delete albums a lot quicker than normal than you would probably want to. But if you're young in the industry, just don't do a Dropbox link to somebody. That's not professional.
No.
Go ahead, spend the time, find something free if you got to. Like Pixieset does have a free amount of photos you can put in there. So
don't pay for it if you're not bringing
you ain't bringing no revenue either for it.
You got to bring it, and which is why you got to charge. Yeah. Like, I got a couple of mentees in the industry, and I'm constantly telling them like what you're charging versus what you're paying for, you're losing.
Yeah, you're losing money.
Like it feels good to have that money in your hand, but when you pay for Pixieset and when you talk about the amount of hours that you're putting into editing, you're losing money and you're telling people something about your value. It's I heard a story about an alcohol company once, and they were selling this alcohol and nobody would buy it.
Yep.
And they paid this consulting company a bunch of money to come in to tell them what was wrong with their alcohol. And the consulting company comes in and they sip, and I don't know if this is true when I say the name, but y'all, fact check me if you want. But they paid a consulting company to come in and take sips of their alcohol and all of that. And the consulting company said, this is some of the highest grade alcohol that we've tested from an up and coming company.
Right.
And they were like, well, what are we doing wrong? They were like, we're going to tell you, change the name of your company and up your prices. People will find the value. People will assume it's not good quality because of the price, and they will find the value if you raise your price. So they change their name to Grey Goose.
That is crazy. The one thing I always tell people is when I was charging like $500 for weddings, I used to always get $500 clients.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I started jumping into $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, the quality of the people that were coming at me, and also the people that were getting referred to me, were that of the last lead. So you're gonna get a decrease in leads because you're not charging $500,
and that's okay.
More. But I'm doing one wedding versus 5 now.
5 weddings for $1,000, and I get one client that's paying $5,000. I made the same amount of money, with less amount of stress.
And that's not to even say that we're saying go charge. You just started and you're supposed to charge $5,000. No, we ain't saying that.
But at the same time, we oftentimes look at these high grade producers of work, and what we don't realize is that about, in my opinion,
some of them are doing less.
60 to 70% of the quality of an image is based on the location it's taken.
Correct.
If somebody's paying you $500 to shoot their wedding, that's a low budget wedding.
Yep.
You're probably going to end up in the Kmart Plaza.
Correct. Yep, and that's where I was always at. Somewhere weird.
You're going to end up in the Chuck E. Cheese is going to be right now the venue that you're shooting. And it's not that person. There's somebody out there for everybody. But if you are trying to elevate your work, if you're trying to shoot a certain standard of images,
correct,
you need a certain standard of clientele. And sometimes you got to, in increments, increase the price so that way
you'll see them change too. It's crazy.
Because nobody want to post work on social media with Chuck E. Cheese in the background. I love Chuck E. Cheese, but ain't nobody trying to see a wedding photo with that mouse. We want another mouse. We don't want that mouse on our images. And so you got to pick and choose how you're elevating your work and how you elevating your costs in order to get the type of clientele that's gonna.
Yeah, that's very true. So what advice, I guess, would you, not even advice, but what is kind of like one thing groundbreaking that you put into your work that changed your photography? Like what was that tool that you added to your arsenal when you were coming up that you were like, man, I'm that dude now. Like I started doing this and I could see a quality shift.
This is a humble side of me. I don't know that I ever felt like I was that dude. I appreciate the people who've applauded me and who told me they love my work and they just said all of that, but it's ever growing. And so it's understanding frequency separation for me was a big hit.
Yeah.
understanding, taking the time to truly learn how to color grade your images to give it a specific look was a moment in time.
The post-production side was your
it was really it, because the people who helped me learn how to shoot started very technical with me.
Right.
But nobody helped me grow the artistic. So I had to stop a moment in time and go back and learn the artistic and ask people to sit down and ask. I was willing to reinvest. I would go and shoot for $300 and come home and tell my wife that I'm going to take $300 to go pay somebody to sit down to learn something. She was like, that's all the money you made. And I was like, it'll pay itself off in the long run. And so I've sat at 11 o'clock and called you and been like, yo, when you're editing videos, what do you do?
Right.
I've called Eds. I've called Wendell. I've called Reem. I've called Trisha. I've called Dewan. I've reached out to Kesha. I've reached out to from the people you haven't heard of to the people you have to say, what are you doing different?
Right.
And I'm not trying to mimic them, but you don't know what to do if you don't know what people are doing. Right. And so for me, really that color grading, frequency separation, because you don't do it on every photo because that's a lot of work to separate all the images. But color grading matters. Color grading it gives you a certain look. So the post-production for me really is when I was like, I'm comfortable charging what I'm charging.
Right.
I'm comfortable charging. That's what it did for me. Is I'm now comfortable charging what I'm charging because my post-production has reached the level where I can say this is worthy of that price, if not more. Most people tell me more.
Correct. So we talked a lot about weddings, but I know and I've seen, and you called me up and you're like, yeah, man, I'm thinking about making a shift into like more of a luxury feeling maternity. Yes. Like what brought on you starting to think about adding a new variety? And I know you probably been doing it, but what made you want to kind of like shift just a little bit into maternity?
So of course, as a photographer, and when you do weddings, you get a lot of calls from people who are having kids because
later,
what comes first, then come, and you know. And so I've shot maternity photos for just as long as I've shot my first wedding. And but for me, just like weddings, the birth of my daughter shifted something for me, because what happened was I tried to find there is a particular photographer, and it's okay to name drop him.
Yeah.
All right. Sophia Barrett in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Her maternity photos are really nice. And so I wanted to shoot something like that. But I did not want to travel to do so, mainly because for the safety of my wife and all of that. We wanted to keep
Atlanta's a decent drive.
It's a decent drive. It's a long drive. She ain't want to sit that long. But she also said she didn't want to fly. I was like, you don't want to fly, but you don't want to sit for that long. Like, but she's like, but I want to shoot with her. Like, I'm good at a lot of things, but magic ain't one of it. Like, how do you want me to do this for you? And so, but we love Sophia Barrett work, but here in Florida, it was hard to find
somebody like that.
That. And so, but I loved it. And if we ended up shooting with a photographer down in Miami, and I can't remember Travis' last name. I want to say Daniels, but we shot with a photographer down in Miami, and I enjoyed the experience as well. Right. And for me, it was an awakening. Just like weddings was like, wow, I really appreciate the love. The journey of becoming a father made me appreciate maternity. And so I was like, there's not one here that I know of.
Right.
I want to provide a service. If you want to do good business, you got to provide something that's an answer to people's problem. And what my problem is I couldn't find quality maternity photos, luxury.
Right.
There's really good photographers here who do really good maternity.
All outside.
But it's finding the resources, trying to connect with florists, trying to connect with makeup artists, trying to connect with hairstylists, finding multiple sizes of the same exact dress.
Correct.
Because everybody's shaped differently. To be able to say that I'm going to step into the realm of luxury maternity photography. And so that journey is one that I'm embarking on. It's hard pressed because, you're also new in the market and everybody's charging one thing and you're trying to produce enough work that people are like, oh no, this is worth it. This is worth it. And so it's a journey, but I am loving it. I'm enjoying it. And so I'm doing luxury maternity. So now I've replaced it. I put it in front of weddings now on all my marketing. I am a maternity and wedding photographer.
Right, so they see that first.
So they see that first and they understand that's really where his focus is. It's the work he's producing. I love it. I'm inspired. After Sophia, I've met a ton. Ashley, Mia. There's a lot of impressive maternity photography, but it's funny, they're region based. One is in Atlanta, one is in Chicago, one is in LA, one is in Ireland, one is in Switzerland, and I love it because that just means there's more opportunity for me to answer it. And then I'm different because of all of them. What I recognize is I'm the only male. Which probably is gonna make it harder, but we like a challenge.
It should be pretty good.
We like a challenge.
Be good. I don't think it should be too hard.
We like a challenge.
I mean, it's not a lot. Like you said, it's not gonna be crazy competition in that sector. And then you got to provide something of value. So if you're providing something of value, people want it, and then there'll be a slew of people that didn't even know they wanted it. They're like, man, I ain't never seen work like this.
I didn't know like, photos like that until I seen
they're not even pregnant yet, but they're like, hey, you're gonna do my pregnancy photo. How many people do you like that on weddings? You're gonna do my wedding. You ain't got no man. Like, get on here and talk about
you are okay with it. You go ahead and plan. Write that down. Write it down. I'm gonna hold you accountable too.
Right. They come through too most of the time.
I've had quite a few come through. And that's honestly, that probably is a better feeling than incoming never knew you high paying client, to have somebody who you've known for years who came and said, remember I told you I want you to shoot.
Yep. I've had that.
And don't give me no discount. I'll pay for it.
Don't ask for no discount.
Your work is worthy and I want to pay for it.
Man, and then what would be crazy is I had one, she hit me up and I'm like, I wasn't even good went back then. And you said that to me. Like, to me, I wasn't even good. I looked back and I was like,
try not to look at my own work. I'd be like, this is trash. I was selling this? Shout out to all my old clients. I was selling this? What was I thinking?
Yep, boy. Shoot.
Nah, it's been a journey, man. It's been good.
But shoot, man, what do you have going forward for you in this? I mean, 2023 is pretty much over, but what's going on in your 2024? I know we talked about maternity. You got some weddings lined up for the new year?
Yeah, I have. It's funny because I've been posting a lot more of my maternity work, but I've been getting booked up a lot more for
weddings. And still, it works like that.
I got quite a few weddings coming up this coming year. I'm doing a lot of reinvesting into the business because, as we said, you can't move into that new sector without investing in, and that's something that the young photographers have to understand. That's not even young photographers, young entrepreneurs. Like, if you are going to be serious about something, you have to be willing to invest in it.
Right.
You have to be, whether it's through mentorship, whether it's through time, you don't have to spend a dime, but if you're spending 15 to 20 hours a week on YouTube learning how to do something to go out and practice it, you're investing. And you gotta be willing to invest in order to grow. So I'm going to be doing some investing, whether it's in those dresses, products, scenery stuff, because in order to do luxury, it's a lot of scenery.
Yeah, a lot of scenery.
So I'm working on I have a storage space for my things, but I also want to get me and my wife have been discussing whether or not we get a small or create a small space to shoot in.
That'd be nice.
I'm working on some of those things because while I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to have, I want to say they say most businesses fail within the first 5 years, more than 5 years.
Right. So you're like, hey, I'm good.
I've had to hire people to shoot for me so I can say it's a stable business. Yeah. While I've been blessed enough to have a stable business, as you enter a new venture or a new era or sector, we got to do the necessary steps to make sure it's successful. So that's where I'm at for 2024, making sure it's successful.
Hey, man. So look, we super happy for you, and I'm super glad we were able to get you in here.
I appreciate it, man. I'm here with the big boys.
We talked about a lot. I know there'll be a lot of insights for people within the industry, young and old. One of the biggest takeaways again was collaboration, and just not really settling with your work being where it's at.
Correct.
Like really honing in on that retouching. Like for me, it was all lighting. Like I just I hooked on to a website called the Strobist And I was like on the strobes like all the time in college, like, and I just bought a Vivitar light, which was like a mechanical light, and it had like a side dial. It was super old and janky, and that's how I did like off-camera flashing.
It's funny
like
the things that turned the switch on for us, and we never looked back from that thing that turned the switch on. For us.
It was just that website, which is crazy. So hey, you guys collaborate, learn new things, learn about color composition, and pay for good education.
Absolutely.
Or even if you ain't got to pay, you ain't got the money, YouTube is a valuable resource. Absolutely. You know, we'll have stuff on this channel for resource. We'll have guys like him come back on the channel, and we'll do stuff on site with brides. You know, we want to do a lot of good things like that for you guys. But we appreciate the man Woody coming out to come out here with us. And hey, we out, and peace.